In this episode, we'll catch up with two legends of the fishing scene at Lakes Entrance, Joel Ryan and Matt Porter. But let's kick it off by checking in with the boys at the factory.
All of our stainless is done in-house. We'd like to have it in-house so we can keep an eye on quality. It's like I say, everyone likes the shiny shit, which the stainless definitely is that. So it's one of the first things that catches your eye about a boat is you have a look at the stainless on it. So we offer a full range of everything here, from rod holders to rocket launchers, bow rails, any sort of custom work that anyone wants. We're happy to oblige. Our stainless guy's absolute magician.
Yeah, I do all the stainless here at Edencraft. What makes us stand out from the rest is most of our work is finished off to a 100% guarantee. So everything, all the finishing in the welds, everything's polished, nice looking welds, all the little bits and pieces. So when you come down to little things like our little welds, like even to look at them up close, everything's sort of tried to be as perfect as possible. All
the comments that come back about our stainless are absolutely amazing. So yeah, we're really happy with how the stainless goes on. So it's an integral part of finishing the boat off to our high quality standards. And once it's all done, it leads us into bolting the motors.
Joel Ryan, a legend of the offshore fishing scene, is taking out the Platinum 233 with the boys from Captain Magazine to see how it performs. They're heading down to Lakes Entrance, taking out an incredible boat to chase something pretty special, the swordfish.
So we're going to take this new Platinum, the 23, all the way out about 90k offshore, and we're going to see if we can find some swordfish. Been a pretty slow start to the season, but pretty excited to see how this boat goes. Yeah, fresh fish.
Joel's parties last time is not there.
Be good in the hard top. Feel me experience. It's going to be pretty sloppy out this morning. I'm pretty glad we've got the hard top. It's nice sword fishing, you don't have to bring so much crap. It's 2 rods.
Outbound Lakes Bar, anyone coming in?
It should be pretty flat, but we're still gonna we might have to go through some surf.
Before you know, well, you'll miss another summer.
So this is the Lakes Entrance bar. It can get pretty dangerous on an outgoing tide and a bit of swell. Today we should be right, we've got an incoming tide and the swell's pretty small, but you always got to be pretty careful here. See, we're all wearing life jackets, which is actually a legal requirement when you're crossing a bar. Certainly going to take our time and just have a look at it first before we cross.
The team get out to their spot with the Captain TV crew.
He's on it already.
Of course he is.
Unfortunately, it's a rough day and they're drifting off their spot too quickly. Joel needs to steer the boat with the back against the waves while keeping it in reverse.
Go the disco.
Disco, do you want mine or yours?
Yeah, I just marked one, so we're going to go back up and put a bait down on it.
Roger.
Do you want a little sinker on it?
I reckon we should. Just when that brick breaks, and then at least something will keep it down there. It'll be drifting motoring pretty quick.
We're out in the Horseshoe Canyons off Lakes Entrance, and we're in about 400 metres of water. We'll just sound around a little bit, and then we'll drop a bait to the bottom with a few lights on and hope for the best. It's not the perfect conditions for it, it's a little bit juggly.
Well, it's marking up real nice, Stu. It's marking up real nice. Let's drop you up. Because it's so rough here, I just got to keep reversing us into the wind here, try and keep us close to our bait so we stay over the top of it. The props just come out. Fuck, good day for it. Normally we're really looking for really smooth days out here. Just the drift's a lot slower and it makes it a lot easier to stay above your bait. Here we're drifting off it very quickly, so it's hard to stay in contact with your bait. End up with a lot of belly in the line, makes it hard to detect the bites. Once we get him on, it's going to be pretty hard to fight a fish in these conditions as well, but we'll see how we go.
Fishing too late into southeasterlies up the coast with a bit of north current, that always gets them jacked up and just run home at 25 mile an hour. Always the same. And just know that I can't put a foot wrong in this boat. I can let anyone drive it in any sea condition, they can do whatever they feel to it, and it just doesn't step out of place, doesn't play up. Especially with the wheelhouse now. The other boys get wet out the back, but I don't get wet. And yeah, it just always goes straight. Grew up in Mafra, fished in Burmie, game fishing from when I was probably 5. So, and then once I got to 8 or 9, it was just me and Dad in the boat, and the brothers. Sort of learnt to do everything from by the time I was 10. I was driving, tracing, catching marlin, tuna, sharks, a whole lot. And it just went on from there, just always me and Dad fishing. It's still the same now. It's pretty lucky in that regard that he was into it. I was in the market for a new boat. Flew to Queensland, looked at a Kevlar cat. Was impressed by the boat, but not the condition of the boat. Flew home. I was going home, and then my brother rang me when I landed in the airport and said that boat's dropped in price again. So I can't really afford it. I let it be, and then rang the old girl, and so I said, "Can I squeeze this out or what?" She goes, "Oh, maybe." I said, "Well, if I go look at this boat, I'll be leaving with it. There's no way." And yeah, rocked up to Grant's house the next morning for a look. As soon as he opened the shed, shook his hand and said, "No worries, I'll take it." He goes, "You want to look at it around it first?" I said, "No, I'll take it." Didn't negotiate on price, I just took it. And then he took me for a spin and yeah, deal was done, just like that. And then he pointed out that it's the one that they used for the demo. And I sort of thought back to when it was released and thought I'd love to one day own that boat, and then all of a sudden I did. And yeah, 6 years has passed, I've changed it, but it's still the same boat. It's still got the posters, still got everything else. Then I heard that someone had taken over Edencraft. No one really told me names too much. I didn't really chase it down because I wasn't in the market for a new boat. And then we were at the Suzuki 350 launch in Sydney. I was up there and then he walked in and I looked at him and I thought, hang on, no one told me it was that Grant that brought Edencraft. And then he looked over at me and sort of realised, oh, what are you doing here? And then yeah, he remembered me and I remembered him, and we had a pretty good night out. So, and been in touch since.
We're a dealership for Mercury, Yamaha and Suzuki. They're the brands that we find are the most popular for guys to be putting on our boats. But like I said, we're happy for anyone to put any motor setup they like. on our boats. It's personal preference, as they're all custom built. The engines that we have on our demo boats are Mercury, but we have Suzuki or Yami as well, depending on what way we want to go. But yeah, they're second to none. The motors that go on these boats, everyone loves them. They push them on at incredible speeds, and they make them do what no other boats can. We like to do the fit up with the motors. It's a very easy thing to get wrong in people that don't know what they're doing. You only got to be slightly off centre, or you got to have one a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Yeah, and they have to be set up to individual boats. Everyone can say, yeah, it's the same boat, this is the same boat, that's the same boat, but they're not, they're custom built boats. You've got to tailor your motor set up to each specific boat.
Alright guys, so we're in the final stages now to fit out of our 233 Platinum soft top. We're really excited, our twin 300 V8s have rocked up, so we're in the stages getting ready to bolt on, which you'll see soon. So yeah, they'll have AMS, so they are the Verado, so they do have the active midsection. Okay, we've got Nathan here, gun mechanic. He's just putting the backing plate on, getting ready to put the motor on the boat. Like I said, it's a 300 Verado. Pretty excited to have him. We've got lucky enough to have a pair of them to go on this boat. Yeah, it's running the active midsection and it has the factory power steering, so going to be a perfect combo for this boat. It's going to be super fast. Pretty cool, huh? Going to look big. This boat having 600 horsepower, it's going to be a pretty serious boat. We're really excited to get these motors on. Yeah, all the rigging kit's in ready to go, so it's pretty much just bolt these motors on and get on the water and have some fun, I reckon.
After the break, we'll see how they're going chasing that illustrious swordfish off Lake's entrance and hear a few more words from Matt Porter.
Joel is out at Lake's entrance on the hunt for a swordie. Unfortunately, today is definitely not the best for it.
So at the moment, the rod's sort of loaded at the moment because we're leaving the weight on because it's so windy and pretty ordinary conditions. But on like nicer days than that, you can fish two rods, one with the weight on and one with the weight off.
Alright, we're just having a bit of a stand along the canyon walls here where it drops down to about 520 metres, so we're just trying to see if we can find some bait down deep and see what we can find for food for these guys that they'll be hanging on. Yeah, so basically we're just fishing the edge of the canyon wall here where it drops off. Starts up at about 450 metres and it's going to drop off to about 600 metres at the bottom of this slope. It's a bit tough to mark up today because it's so rough. We're sort of finding a little bit, but nothing amazing yet. Hopefully there's a swordfish on this one.
Like you get the bite on the bottom and then they normally race up to the surface, so some people even think you've lost them because everything just goes slack and that's them racing up to the surface because they feel something wrong. And then, yeah, they'll either break the surface and you'll see them jump, or throw their bill in the air, and then they either float and equalise and you can get them quick then, or they settle in for a fight. Could be there for a few hours. First one I hooked, I had him on for 5 hours and then cracked him off after that. I had 18 kilos of drag on him for 3 hours, so I had a fair bit of drag on him.
Yeah, basically I'm just knocking a motor in and out of gear in reverse, just reversing us into the wind and keeping us straight, so we're drifting nice and straight with our two baits out behind us. Yeah, on a day like today, it's a lot of work staying above the bait, and it's quite tiring driving. Actually, there's no relaxing today.
We've still got the old school wheelhouse, which some people hate, some people love. I wouldn't change it. Yeah, Grant's still running T-toppers when I brought it, so I've put the relax with bases on. Heaps more user friendly. Pod mount, not transom. I know most people are going transom these days, but the stability at rest, flotation, and performance out of the pod, I reckon is a lot better. But each their own. There's some things about it that hold it back. I know it knocks some speed off them, but it also gains speed in other areas as well. But after all, you can go flat out whenever you want pretty well anyway. It makes a big difference. When I did the wheelhouse, I did a massive overhaul on it. So even though it was only 5 years old, not even, rewired it, all new electronics throughout, new lighting, new pumps, a whole lot. The only thing that's nearly original is the motors and the hull and trailer. But the wheelhouse was supplied by Edencraft. Yeah, that's a bit different to what they do. I got Kane to make that one up for me, so we fit more rods in there. Just makes life easier when you fight fish and be able to stick a heap of rods up there, especially when you like carrying too many. But then put in, Grant only had the one rail on that side, and yeah, when we're running out wide off here and do 3 or 4 different kinds of fishing in a day, and then all of a sudden you got 10 rods on board, you need somewhere to store them. That's original actually, the bait board. Yeah, it's done its job. I would have thought I would have ruined it by now, but it's held up. Anything from Mako's jumping in the boat green to trying to destroy shit to swords and everything else. Seats, I've had to pay them a few times. Seat boxes are all original, and they've actually held up. So the seats are all torn from swordfish bills. There should be scratches there from Mako's grabbing hold of them somewhere. Like I said, they've still managed to hold up, which I don't know how, but anyway. Bruno Electronics, 295, 2 trannies. The original, or Grant had original 8-inch, yeah, 8-inch. I've changed it out for a 12, Navnet 3D. I'm not a fan of touch, and then of course Bruno Autopilot, which I couldn't live without. Once having it, so can't go back. And then my trusty 12-volt oven up the front. Well, that's my second one because I've worn one out. And then we worked it out, an equivalent to cooking roast at home, and it cooked 500 roasts. Just cooking pies, sausage rolls and dim sims. So now I've had to buy another one, and yeah, I couldn't live without it on the water. Normally it's immaculate, polished and everything else, but it's in the middle of a season now.
Yeah.
And it's left how I'll jump back in it and use it again. Everything I need sitting in one spot.
Yeah.
So it makes life easier. 1750 now, I think.
Oh, really?
And that's in the, I brought it off Grant with 100, and that was 6 years ago. So I've used it, definitely used it. I wasn't biased at the time. This one just was up for sale at the right time for not quite the right price, but I made it work, and Edencraft's had a name for a long time. I know the blokes who originally started building them before Bally had it in Geelong, and yeah, I've put it through hell. I've used it non-stop, and there's still, apart from a few fish marks, there's still not a mark on it. Nothing's given up, nothing's come loose, and nothing's broken. So it's held up to its name pretty well, I reckon.
Is that your name or Grant's?
I took Grant's name off it. I know it's bad luck to rename a boat, but a big Vinnie Rowe sticker up the side didn't really suit me. I ripped that off pretty quick, and I only put the name back on the side 2 years ago. I finally come and put the name on. Otherwise it was, yeah, had no identification for a while, which was good. Try fly under the radar, which can be hard sometimes. Sort of once people realise it's a local boat to Lake's entrance, they sort of think that because you're local you'll know where to fish. Not always the case. but they'd like to try and follow. But in the end, it just got, everyone knew the boat. The name come from Dad's boat, which he had a seafarer. He went on holidays and I sold it on him. When he come back, it was gone. His boat of 17 years because I needed extra cash to buy this. And that was called Full Ball, and everyone always called it the Ball. So the name just carried on.
That's awesome.
I thought that's the least I could do, so when I sold his boat on him while he was away.
After the break, we'll catch up with a couple of key members of the Edencraft team, see how they went chasing that swordfish off Lake's entrance, and hear a couple of last words from Matt Porter.
So my name's Jean Leroux, commonly known as JP. I've just joined Edencraft as the operations manager in charge of production. Well, the operations manager will be in charge of the day-to-day runnings of the production environment in the factory, putting certain processes in place that haven't been here in the past to ensure that there's a decent production flow from start to finish, and also to ensure the quality of the build of the boat. Every boat is built, hand-built individually. We're not a production company per se, and I'm here to see that that process is followed correctly and that the quality on each boat is there for each customer. I left school in 1993. I went to Grey High School in Port Elizabeth in South Africa. I travelled around a bit doing charter fishing all over the show. That was my passion. Then I branched off after school and I went into IT, became an IT engineer. Eventually that sort of ran its course, and then I got into boat building, which was my first love. I've been building boats for 12 years now. I've left one of the biggest catamaran builders in the world as a production manager to join Edencraft International, and I believe that the company has that much scope that it was worth the risk. Getting into the catamaran business, sailing cats and power cats, it was an opportunity for me to become a production manager in a large-scale production environment where there's huge processes involved and everything is extremely organized. That production facility had 1,400 staff members, 5 different factories. We put out a 40-foot yacht every 5 days on the water. So there's no room for error in something like that. Processes are extremely tight, time is extremely tight. Managing processes and shortfalls that never got there was extremely problematic. So it was high pressure, but in that kind of environment where you're paying $10 million for a yacht, that's it. I actually stumbled upon Edencraft. I was looking for an opportunity in Australia to come and build boats here because of the boat market in Australia. There's a lot of people that like boats and build boats, and somehow I ran across an old ad. They were looking for someone to run their production, and I sort of skimmed over it and I forgot about it, and then I looked back and I thought, let me see if I can find it again, and I couldn't find it. And it took a lot of digging on the internet and all my IT skills to find a cached version of it lying somewhere. And I sent them an email, and hey, 6 months down the line, here I stand. So coming over was difficult. I've left my family in South Africa and I've got a wife and 3 small kids. So it's difficult being here and them there, but it's been really good. I've seen a lot of places, I've met a lot of great people. I must say the Australian culture and the people are extremely friendly. I haven't met a bad one yet, and I've enjoyed being here. Grant and Kerry have been super hospitable. I've stayed at their house, they've fed me, they haven't bathed me, but they've looked after me, and yeah, I thank them for that, and they've made me feel right at home. So the brand Edencraft, I obviously dug around and done a lot of homework on Edencraft. Just had a look up their history and that kind of thing. They seem to have a cult following. I like the idea that it was a family-orientated business. I feel that those are better business than big corporate businesses. And yeah, the more I dug around, the more exciting it became for me. The crew that I got going, they're a wild bunch, but they're all good guys. They're all highly skilled in their own right. Everyone has their own personality. They're all, at the end of the day, one big family, which I like. There's no real hierarchy in the factory itself, and everybody works together. And that's what makes a good team, and that's what ultimately will build a good boat. So I've been around a lot of boats. I've built a lot of boats for the last 12 years. There's loads of different ways to build boats and the methodologies involved. Edencraft boats are by far the strongest built boats that I've come across in the industry, by a long shot. They could build them lighter, they could use composite materials more in their hulls, but they don't. They stick to what they know, and it really works, and the hulls perform at the weight that they build them at and how they construct them. I think if they were done anything differently, then they wouldn't be an Edencraft, and that's what makes them the tank of the seas. So there's a lot of boats out on the market. Some can ride into chop, some can ride in a following sea, some go in a beam sea. You very seldom get one boat all rolled into one. But an Edencraft does all of those things. Safety at sea, it'll bring you home in the toughest of tough conditions, and ultimately, we as boaters and fishermen, that's what we want to rely on, that kind of reliability, like a good old friend.
Pretty good at out talking people. I can talk all day, so people call up for a 5-minute inquiry and I get stuck on the phone for an hour to them, but I think as a rule most blokes are quite happy to talk about our boats and have a good chat, and they come down the yard and we walk around and we show them all the processes, how things are done, and yeah, it's good. So I'm pretty much a paid chatterbox really. At Edencraft I'm the customer relations manager, so I do all their sales, any new inquiries, things like that, and also now throughout the builds I'm the sort of the customer's point of contact. Just making sure what they've ordered, what they want is what they're getting. So I'm sort of their first point of contact. I was born in Geelong. I've stayed very local. Well, it's been a good place for me to grow up, just locally with schools and things like that, and been brought up sort of around a local sporting club and done a little bit of athletics and things back in the day. I was a little bit fitter back then. I think I was about 45 kilos fitter back then, but I used to play a bit of sport and play footy still and do all that sort of stuff, but yeah, not so much anymore. I've got a lot of fond memories of fishing with my dad. We fished the bay, sort of growing up, he sort of taught me a lot of fishing. I'm pretty good at leaving the old bungs out a couple of times, much to my dad's disgust. I was very early in the morning and in a bit of a rush, and got down the ramp and we're motoring along, and my old man goes, "Oh, did you put the bungs in?" I said, "Yeah, I always put the bungs in, as in I do them at home." And we'd been fishing about half an hour and had no water or anything, so the bungs must have been held in by pressure. And we moved spots, and all of a sudden my radio went flat. My radio stopped working, so I looked over and my Makita radio was in about a foot of water. So we quickly got the boat up on a plane, and yeah, the water sucked back out of it and got back to the ramp and got told how much of an idiot I was. So I started as an apprentice electrician. I started with a pretty big mob at Melbourne company. It's a shame they're no longer around, but they invested a lot of time in me as an apprentice, and it was good. I got put in the sort of the deep end and I learned a lot. I sort of found it easy from the get-go. I wouldn't say easy, it's something I was interested in. I've always been fascinated with electronics and things like that at the time, so it was sort of something that I was interested in. And doing the big commercial stuff, we'd done big shopping centres and things like that, so there was a real sort of cool factor to it. Grant Carey first come to me with a proposition of working for Edencraft. Known them for years through Geelong, I played football with their son. I spoke to my wife about it, and she thought I was mad not to do it because all I do is talk about boats and fishing. People come to me, they might not know the brand that well or whatever, and I think once they come through and I show them, I have a good chat, and they understand that every boat's individual and it is built for a certain person, they feel a lot more comfortable. They come in, they see the processes, how they're built, and then they feel a lot better. They feel it is a custom build, it's an individual boat. So as a rule, the boats I think have survived so long because they are so good for what they are. So it's just important that we maintain that standard and we keep delivering what they've done for so many years. I think I approach my role that I need to treat everyone as a customer. What I like to know is that these people, they're not necessarily these are their dream boats. They're not just coming out and a split decision thing. It's one of those things I think they've thought about a long time. They've got to the point in their life where they could buy one. So they need to be treated like a customer, and it's not just something they take lightly. These people, we live and breathe fishing. We live and breathe boats. When people come to us, they have a fair idea about what they want and they know a bit about the boat. Like I said, it is a custom procedure and it is a custom boat. So what's good for one person isn't necessarily the other. And then not just once you sell them the boat, walk away from it. It's a delivery thing. It's a whole way through the process. So delivering them the information through the build process, the stages where they're at, potential issues or things they may or may not need, things like that, and then delivering it at the end. And then they get their boat, and then I find for months after we're still in contact, and we even have customers that we talk to a long time after that we keep in touch, and it's a good thing, it really is. I recently had a a guy come in, he's brought a boat through us. He works away, and he is a certain boat number, line of production, and then he was talking to another fella about boats and things like that, and he goes, "Oh, I've just ordered an Edencraft." The other fella had also brought Edencrafts, and they were working together, and they're actually exactly one number after the other in the production line, both getting 6-metre boats. Ended up marrying a girl I went to school with. Just had a little girl. She's 1 in a couple of weeks, so that's definitely been an experience. I've always lived in Geelong. Just recently bought a house in Moorlap on a bigger block. It's only a couple of kilometres from the yard, which is nice and close to the boat ramp and close back down to the coast. So yeah, it's just been worth the move. Like working for Kerry and Grant's been great. I've been closer to home, doing a lot of hours, but it's a very tight-knit group. You feel appreciated, especially with understanding family life and things like that, which has been really nice.
Dipping the hook so it sits nice and straight in the squid, so it sits out and doesn't bunch up on the back of the bait. So yeah, we've got the squid, got the little skirt, and you've got the first light, then you've got the wind on leader. You just got to sink it because there's still a bit of wind, so you've got a sinker on the line, and then we've got our bigger light up the top, just on the bottom of the wind on.
Yep.
So you can just quickly pull them off when you're finding the fish and that. When he first comes through, you hit it in the body there, and that's why you got to have all the stitches, because if he blows it to bits, he won't turn around and eat it. So it's got to take at least one good whack, and then be there for him to turn around and come back and eat it. Because if he blows it up, they just lose interest and swim away. That's what we sort of found. So the more time you stitch them up, the more chance you got of a good hook up. So this is just a slimy I caught the other day, so it's still fresh. If it was a bit old, they'd blow out pretty quick because they're just slimy. But yeah, so I'm going to rig him up backwards so you can put a skirt off his tail. And yeah, so you just sew a good tunnel point to the back. So like with a sort of a crisscross pattern there. Glue my squid over his tail like that. And then circle on. Just a bit more attractive, just like a bit of lumo. And just in case the bait gets a bit mauled, it's still got a bit there for him to see. I don't know how long the lumo lasts down there at that depth. I don't know. Caught them without lumo squids, I've caught them with them. I don't know if it makes a huge difference. Something extra. Just goes like that, so the circle hook's all free. So when the sortie eats it, swallows it down to in his stomach, comes out and should just go boom in his corner of the jaw.
Sadly, the boys got nothing that day. The place is fished pretty regularly now. But the first person to catch a sword out there was a fellow Edencraft owner and someone you may recognise.
Yeah, first one to catch a recreational swordfish out of Victoria. That one was only 65 kilos, which was perfect. I'd kill for more of them. Nice and easy. I'd been up the coast a couple of weeks, fishing in horrible weather, and on the last day of my holidays there was a good break in the weather out here. And I'd been set up for 2 years to chase swords. I was always going to leave this in Tassie for 3 months. Couldn't find a crew all the time to get it over there. And I just went, oh, I'll just have a try out of here, because I'd been smoked by them on my electric before. First drop, 2 minutes in, I got a bite. At that stage, didn't know what to do. So I just left it because I thought it was a bottom fish. And then yeah, 5 minutes later I seen a swordfish jump on the surface and it all sunk in. And the size of it was lucky compared to the ones we have caught because there was only 2 of us on board, and it just all happened, all went to plan, and before you know it, I was in the boat. So, and that, yeah, that's now led me on to doing it a lot more, and gone from being the only boat on the shelf out here at any given time of year to now don't get it to myself anymore. It's getting very popular. Most people thought it was just a once-off bit of a shock, and it was the first time I tried, but I'd been planning it for a long time. I was fully set up for years, and it was always on the cards. It was something I always wanted to do. I'd sort of had a tinker with it, set up probably 10 years ago, but couldn't work it out. So I just didn't bother, and that's why I was just going to do the Tassie thing once I got time, but didn't have enough happen to. Probably after the 3rd or 4th one, and it just all kept happening. And yeah, the first one, some mates in Tassie gave me a bit of a rundown, but all they explained to me was how to get a bait down. They didn't tell me what to do when you got a bite, or how to land them, or anything. So first one was trial and error, and there was no error, it just worked. Next few, yeah, it just started happening, and just it's all a process, and there's nothing much to it. I've just been lucky, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's just my boat, it just does what I want. Makes life easy, especially out of here. But I work out there, and I've seen the seas, and I've seen how quick it changes, and then that's why I brought a boat of this size, twin engines, and awesome performance, because I know what it does out there. It makes it easy.
It's a big thing for customers to be able to create something that no one else has. You're basically taking home a unique boat every time. We pride ourselves on that, and being able to fit in everything that customers want. Custom boat building at its best. You're not just getting something off the shelf from Safeway. You're going to the top end of the market.
Something that you can't explain. There's nothing quite like it. Up against the deep and blue, a humble excitement. Just turn it victory. Good time's gonna start. All hands on deck. It's my Edencraft.
We're super proud of what we do here. We've got boats from 30 years still running around that are blowing off brand new boats off the market now. Anytime anyone wants to come down and go for a test ride, or come down and have a chat, have a wander through the factory and see our build processes and meet the family down here, we're more than happy to have anyone. Give us a call or pop on down, we love it.